Welcome back to MDR Photo. Today we're going to do a quick little comparison between the GFX 50S and the Canon R5. Let's get to it right after this. Hey folks, coming at you today because I did something kind of crazy, something kind of nuts. I went out and got a Canon EOS R5. Now, if you've watched my videos over the last couple of years, you know that the GFX 50S has been my main go-to everyday camera, and it has just been stellar. Image quality is off the charts, and that's what I needed it for. But with the lifting of COVID restrictions, things have taken a turn. I'm starting to get as much video work as I am getting stills work. So I needed something that could encompass the whole business package that I'm offering. And I did my research. I went through everything and I settled on the Canon EOS R5. And let me tell you why. First off, let's compare the cameras a little bit, okay? The GFX is a 50.2 medium format censored camera. The Canon is a 45 megapixel full frame camera. What's the difference, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Sensor size. Look at the size of these sensors. The GFX is 1.6 times bigger than the Canon R5. And that is the same difference in size as a full frame and a crop frame camera. Now, the megapixel stuff doesn't matter. The 45, 50.2, it's negligible at best. You're not gonna need it for billboards. You're not gonna need 45 megapixels for anything. Megapixels doesn't matter in the image quality here. It's the overall package. How this camera collects light, processes it, and the field of view. The medium format sensor gives you a different field of view. Let me explain that to you. When you have a 105 millimeter lens on a GFX, it becomes closer to an 86. When you put a 64 millimeter lens, it's closer to a 50. When you put a 45 millimeter lens, it becomes something closer to like a 32. And that just gives you a different image. So combine that with the color science, the field of view, the way this camera processes, I actually prefer the stills out of the GFX. Now remember, this is completely subjective. There's no scientific proof that this has better images than the Canon R5. And I will say that the Canon R5 makes spectacular images. This is an incredible camera, and I am just floored by how good it is. Let's talk a little bit about ergonomics. The GFX is significantly bigger than the Canon R5. It's got this big hump on the back that houses the LCD, and it adds a bit of weight. It's got a little bit of heft to it compared to the R5. But for me, that's negligible. It doesn't feel that different to me. And let's talk about the grip. The grip on the GFX is phenomenal. I have big hands, and this is very, very comfortable to me. The Canon R5 is very comfortable, but I still have some pinky play. And it's a little bit smaller and it doesn't fit my hand as well. I can't use the Sony cameras because they're so small that it's uncomfortable for any extended period of shooting time. So it's not practical for me to have one for long day shoots, so I don't use them. And when it comes to everything else, the Canon trounces the GFX. Autofocus. Let's be honest here. The autofocus on the GFX sucks. With native lenses, it's adequate. With adapted lenses, it's passable. That's it. A lot of it is taking a shot, recomposing, taking a shot. The Canon has one of the best, if not the best, autofocuses I've ever used. And so, burst mode, 5 frames per second. Maybe, I don't even remember. I only shoot one shot at a time. I maybe take 75 shots per shoot. The Canon does up to 20 frames per second. That is nuts. That's the fastest I've ever had on any camera. I don't need 20 frames per second. I want to use 20 frames per second, but I don't need it. To give you an example, recently I landed a gig with a local hip hop artist where he was doing a video and he wanted stills from the video. So he hired me just to take stills. That was it, no video. He had a whole production crew there. It was huge. He just wanted behind the scenes stills. They had smoke going. The lights were flickering on and off. It was going, people were dancing around. I put this thing on burst mode, 20 frames per second, AI servo, and eye focus. I probably had a 97% keeper rate. And I shot, get this, 5,000 images that night. For 3 hours, I shot 5. I just was playing around. I want to see if it worked. I mean, I took a few that were not that way that I know were in focus, but then I did the playing around and it was phenomenal. On the GFX, I might have had like a 5% keeper rate because the autofocus would not be able to keep up. The AI servo that this has, the continuous focusing would not keep up. And the low light, it would just hunt the whole time. So it was not practical to even consider taking this with me. And also, let's talk a little bit about image stabilization. The Fujifilm GFX 50S does not have it at all. All your image stabilization comes from whatever lens that has it that you put on it. The Canon has in-body stabilization, which is phenomenal. For video, for whatever, it's incredible. I'm so happy with how this thing works when it comes to image stabilization. To give you an idea, I shot the 105 millimeter 1.4 at like 1/20th of a second. That is super slow for such a long lens. And it was tack sharp. I was ecstatic. I loved it. Let's talk about price range. The Canon R5 is $4,000, and I think if you get the kit lens, I think it's like $4,900. That's a good chunk of change. That's nothing to sneeze at. When I bought this, it was $7,500. Now you can get them brand new for about $54,000, and you can get used ones in immaculate condition for about $3,000. And for this image quality, oh, you can't go wrong. $3,000 for a medium format camera? Oh, just amazing. The color science is negligible. I love the colors on the GFX. The Canon, they've always had great colors. I don't like Sony colors, so that's another knock on Sony for me. But overall, the Canon became a better fit for my business model, and that's why I moved over to it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not leaving Fujifilm completely. I got a GFX 100S on its way, which is in-body stabilization. It's got better autofocus, smaller body. I'm gonna play around with that, you know? I'm really excited about that. But that's it. That's the reason I moved over. This camera is phenomenal. This is, by the way, this is the first Canon I've ordered since 2012 when I pre-ordered the Canon 5D Mark III. And I haven't wanted a Canon since then because I thought they were behind like Sony and everyone else. But this thing, I am ecstatic. It's phenomenal. You cannot go wrong with this. And you can't go wrong with the R6. I mean, the R6 does everything this does except for like video quality and megapixels, but otherwise they're basically the same camera, and that's crazy for $2,400. Anyway, I'm Mark Rigsby with MDR Photo. If you like the video, click like. If you love the video, click subscribe. If you didn't like the video, heck, click subscribe anyway. Who knows, maybe the next video will be the one that you enjoy. Don't forget to hit that bell to be notified anytime I upload new content, and I'll see you here next time. Talk to you later. Bye.